Some no scent one, no additives. I don't know what the fuck it is.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. All right, welcome everybody. This is Marvel Madness Comics Podcast, episode number 33. I am No Voice Brandon, as always, joined by my man Trevitt. Trevitt, what's up?
Nothing much. Nothing much.
Yeah, my vocal cords are slowly working their way back. So I sound better now than I did during Star Wars, which was recorded yesterday. So
yeah, you do. You sound a lot better.
Yeah, but it's still I won't probably be back on my vocal toes until tomorrow. But anyway, we're gonna run through how we do things here for you guys. We always give you our mission statement, how we cover these books, what we're gonna cover for you. Of course, we go over the books in detail, spoilers. We got Trevitt's news section, the midpoint marvelous facts. Got a sign out segment, and then we'll tell you guys how we're gonna do some things next week. Because it's Christmas week here in the States. And we're going to have to, adjust our schedule a little bit, but we're still going to get the episode out. And I'll have it ready for Monday, unless you guys holler at us and you want it early or whatever, because we're going to record Saturday. So we might be able to get it out early for you if that's what you want. So let us know. But we're going to start things off with the mission statement. And we got 3 books in the lineup for you guys today. We're kind of a return to the classic way we do things with a spider segment, an IVX segment, and then a hero segment, which can encompass pretty much anything. We continue to strive and try to fulfill our mission of providing you guys the ins and outs of the Marvel comic book universe. In between talking books, we chit-chat about some of Marvel's latest news, rumors, titles, characters, fun facts, and all that goes on under the general going-ons of Earth Prime's umbrella. We try to cover a variety of titles for you guys each and every month in an effort to avoid any repetitiveness in an attempt to keep things fresh and informative for you guys, the listeners. 3 books we're going to bring you tonight are going to be part 2 of the Venom Inc. story, which is taking place in Amazing Spider-Man 792. We covered part 1 last week. Trevitt's going to wrap up. This is the last issue of Royals, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's the last issue.
We're going to wrap up that series for you guys. And then we wrap up a 3-part story in Star Wars with issue number 40, kind of apropos since it is movie week for Star Wars. So we'll tell you what's going on in that book as well. But we rate all these titles honestly and base, our review on our own opinion and scale, which is a buy, borrow, or forget it altogether rating system. Buy, of course, means buy it now. Borrow means get that digital code from a friend. And did you notice Marvel stopped including that extra book now?
No, I didn't notice that. They're not doing it anymore?
Yeah, you just get the one now. You don't get like a back issue as well. But also, final rating would be forget it altogether. And that means don't drop a dime on that book. Don't bother hunting down the digital code. You can forget about it, and you don't need to worry your little brain about the going-ons in that title, because we're telling you to forget it. But anyway, if you guys are looking to get a hold of us, there's a couple ways to do so. Twitter account, which has been a little inactive lately. I apologize. I was super busy this week. I had Sabres game on Monday. My daughter's like Christmas recital Wednesday. I went to the Bills game yesterday. Went out with the girlfriend Saturday, so I was like busy every day this week. I'm exhausted. But anyway, usually it's I didn't pay much attention to it this week, but it's usually a little more active than it was this week, and we'll get back on it this week. Of course, I'm back on schedule, but look for us there at Madness Marvel 1 on Twitter. Our DMs are open for business. You got any suggestions or books we haven't covered yet you want to hear about? I think Anthony said he wants to hear a future issue of Runaways. So we covered issue 1, but we'll do another one coming up here.
Nice.
So if you got requests like that, hit us up and we can take care of you. We throw some digital codes around on the Twitter as well, and I do got 2 to put up there, and those will be coming out after you guys. after we're done recording this. So some point today. But we also got another way to get in contact with us, and that is at Gmail, marvelmadness0@gmail.com. You can hit us up there if you got any, longer winded things to say, or you want to hear us spit the bit about something we haven't really touched on. It'd be a good way to do that. But we've got all this basic bit stuff covered and out of the way, and meaning the intro. And we're going to send it off to Trevitt's news section, where he has a couple items he wants to mention. So we'll be right back after this little jingle. Got to get a good clap in there, or I don't know where I put the cut. All right, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right, here we go. Go ahead.
All right, so I only got 2 news stories this week. Not much happened. Actually, one's kind of big, but everybody knows it already. But one is I saw a report from CBR this week that Jim Starlin is not going to be allowed to write any future Thanos stories. You know how sometimes he had that Infinity Revelation and all that series. He's not going to be allowed to do those side series anymore for some strange reason. I also heard they did that to Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning with Guardians of the Galaxy. So he has a quote here, and it says, "For quite some time, I've had the privilege of pretty much solely determining where our Mad Titan would go in his fictional life. Thanos is the property of Marvel Entertainment, and with the movies on the horizon, Big Purple is about to enter the ratified classification of being a cultural icon, a character bigger than the comic books, writers, and artists that birthed him. Marvel editorial has made it clear they want fresh takes on the Titan, so who am I to argue with them?" He also added that recognizing that the character he created is bigger than himself, but before all is said and done, the writer still has a final epic story left to tell. He says it's been fun, but like talking to Thanos, he says it's been fun, big guy, but go out and have an interesting and entertaining life. So poor Jim Starlin. I mean, he's been writing Thanos forever. I'm pretty sure he created Thanos. So that's kind of sad because I enjoyed those.
Bittersweet.
The Infinity series. Yeah, all of his Infinity books. I've liked them all. I love them all. So it is bittersweet. But I do enjoy the series we've been getting from Lemire and now Cates. So he's in good hands. Let's just hope that Cates keeps writing him and nobody else. So next story up, I got the Disney Fox deal. So this week, Disney bought 21st Century Fox for a reported $52 billion. The deal was a total of $66.1 billion, with Disney assuming $13.7 billion of Fox's debt, which is pretty crazy. I guess I could see why they sold it.
Yeah.
They got money when they were losing money. So they got $52 billion when they were owing 13.7. So I guess that works out. I'm excited for that specifically because I'm excited to see the X-Men and the Fantastic Four join the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, who hasn't wanted to see that happen? Just the Fantastic Four alone, just Doctor Doom being able to be a villain in an Avengers movie, or Kang the Conqueror, or fucking Galactus. Like, everybody says, like, where are they going to go after Thanos? Thanos is like one of the end-all, be-all big villains of the Marvel Universe. Well, Galactus, the next time they build to a big Avengers movie 10 years from now, it can be Galactus. And I can't wait to see like Reed Richards and Tony Stark working together in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I don't know how they're going to bring it in. I know Fantastic Four is going to be a lot easier than X-Men because X-Men had a whole entire slate planned for like the next 5 to 10 years. So I don't know what they're going to do with that. After Dark Phoenix, they're going to reboot, or if maybe the movies can do like some kind of Secret Wars and just like meld the universes together as one, kind of like the most recent Secret Wars did. That could make it make sense. But I'm excited to see it happen. I never thought in my lifetime that I would see, the X-Men or the Fantastic Four be back at Marvel movie wise. I never thought I'd see that. I never thought I'd see Spider-Man come back either. But I guess dreams do come true.
Yeah.
I'm
We'll see.
excited
I
for
don't
that.
think they're going to do anything with it until after all the Infinity stuff is done, and they'll kind of do a whole
Yeah, no,
I think
it's going to be a
everybody will get
while.
recast. Yeah. So
All the all the Fox movies that are in production have to get through all the, this phase of the Marvel universe has to end, and then they also, the deal is done, but they also have to go through regulatory committees and all that kind of bullshit. So it's going to be like at least 5 years before you see that happen, maybe 3 or 4 if you're lucky. But I wouldn't be surprised if like Kevin Feige had people already working on shit like this just in case, because they did the same thing with Spider-Man, like a year or two before, like when Civil War first went into like the script writing process. They had them write a script with Spider-Man and without Spider-Man, just in case Spider-Man became available, like if a deal went through. So, I think it's in good hands, and I think they probably already have a plan. So even if it's 3 years or 5 years, when it happens, they can just get the ball rolling.
yeah, that it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it for the
That's it.
news. All right, that's it for our news section here today, guys. We're going to send you off to the first book, which is going to be part 2 of this amazing, well, not amazing Spider-Man, Venom Inc. crossover they got going on in the pages of Spider-Man and Venom and whatever Alpha or Omega issues they put out. But yeah, this is going to be part 2. Pull my notes up here. Amazing Spider-Man 792. We got writer, kind of a co-written series. It says story by Dan Slott and Mike Costa. Writer credit on this actual issue goes to Dan Slott. Artist is Ryan Stegman. Color artist Brian Reber, and VC's Joe Carmanga for letters. Yeah, the Venom character has been running through crossovers and mini events for quite some time now, by my estimates. So with that out there, here, Amazing Spider-Man 792, part 2 of the Venom Inc. story. Does it continue to satisfy that never-ending Venom thirst Marvel thinks we all continue to have? Let's see if this sheds a little more light on what our villains' motivations are behind these attacks, and see if we can understand what Mr. Lee Price is up to exactly.
Thinks is
So
a
yeah,
good way.
last issues. What's up?
When you guys said thinks is a good way to phrase that. When you said Marvel thinks the obsession we all have.
Yeah, I know. It's and I heard there's a goddamn another one, like another Venom kind of fucking thing happening after this is all done. So I'm like, Jesus
One
Christ.
with X-Men.
Yeah, well, there's one with X-Men, and then after that, because he's coming up on like 30 years of being a character or whatever. So
Oh
they're doing
Jesus,
something
another
with that. But anyway, last issue's cliffhanger revolved around Flash and Eddie Brock fighting for control of the Venom symbiote. And with a little bit of Spider-Man's idiotic assistance, Flash ended up turning into straight up anti-Venom, which is exactly where we start things off in this issue. He grabs Eddie, who's got a little bit of, just a classic Venom symbiote still kind of dripping off of him. He grabs him by the throat, and Eddie mentions, how it burns and fucking, because anti-venom is the only thing that can really cleanse a symbiote from your body, kind of from your mental history. So that's what's going on here as Flash has Venom by the throat, and then Spider-Man, he comes flying in here and just cold clocks Eddie Brock, like already being grabbed by the throat by Flash Thompson.
gets a shot in.
Yeah, it's just a total cheap shot. It looks amazing though. Like Stegman draws it pretty sweet looking. And then Flash ends up just ripping any semblance of the symbiote directly off Eddie Brock's body. And they basically stick the thing in a container because his Flash is holding it in his hands. The thing is dying because he's basically the cure for it. He doesn't want it to die. He ultimately likes this symbiote. He's bonded with it. He's basically friends with it. And him and Spider-Man stick it in a glass jar and head on out of this place once Eddie Brock is all webbed up. And then they're trying to figure out what their next move to make is going to be.
I'll ask you a question about anti-venom because I never read the anti-venom story. So it is a symbiote in itself, correct? It's just like the antithesis of what a regular symbiote is, but it doesn't have like the sentience that Venom has, right?
Well, it basically is it's a symbiote like the black one is. It just counters everything the black one does. It doesn't have the bond to the host that like, screws with your mind or whatever, like it
Yeah,
does
yeah.
with Eddie. So yeah, it you notice in this book, we get to it in a few pages here because this jumps around a lot, where Eddie can't even track where they've gone with it because it's totally cleansed him of any of his
Yeah.
memories with it and his bond from it. So yeah, that's why it's called anti-venom, because it's basically the opposite of what a symbiote is. Yeah. And Brock used to be he was basically the first anti-venom. So
What about it? Yeah, I can read that.
that's what the first story went all around there. Because since he couldn't have the symbiote, he didn't want anyone to have it. But then we check in on Black Cat, whose crew is just committing robberies all over town to try to fulfill this price they're trying to pay to the 5 families. Black Cat's a little pissed by what they've come up with, but then their hideout gets immediately busted into by Lee Price, aka under the Maniac persona. He's got like these symbiote masks he's been wearing. He crashes this gathering of crooks with his own crew that he's been creating starting last issue with the looter and all those clowns. But yeah, this ends up leading to a big fight, which we get to in a few pages, where they're just all slugging it out with each other before Lee eventually starts taking over and turning Black Cat's villains into his own, symbiote villains, including Scorpion, who it has some wild effects on because he's a former symbiotic host. Back to Flash and Spidey, they end up going to Peter Parker's current digs, which is Bobby Morse's apartment. Flash also doesn't really know that Spidey and Peter are the same person at this point in continuity. So Spider-Man's trying to talk him into just leaving this thing here because Peter has equipment to basically neutralize it, is what he says. Flash is like, no, I don't want to neutralize this thing. It's essentially a sentient being. I'm not trying to get rid of it. I'm not trying to kill it. He suggests to Spider-Man, why don't you put it on? And since I can't, because I got this anti-venom on me right now, why don't you put it on and we use you to track down Lee Price and whoever else we're looking for. Spider-Man's just straight up against that. And what they do end up doing is kind of coming to a compromise of like clipping off a piece of the symbiote, sticking it into this piece of tech Spider-Man's created, to basically use as a tracker to find where they need to go. Again, there's a few teases between all this jumping around. One of them being that we already mentioned, Eddie can't feel the symbiote or track it down after tangling with anti-venom. He's been cleansed of any connection. And then we get this part where Betty Brant tries to contact Peter because he hasn't been showing up to work lately already. Like, Jesus Christ, Peter. And they mentioned there's like a corner box that mentions if you want to pick up that story, I guess there's an annual coming out, must be next month or the month after. That's going to pick up the threads of the story of Peter not showing up to work lately.
Of the guy who's spying on her while she's making the phone call, whoever the fuck that is.
See, I initially thought it was just Eddie Brock because he doesn't know any other way to track down Spider-Man than through Peter.
That's what I thought.
He used to date Betty, I'm pretty sure. That was my initial guess, but I could be way off. I mean, it could be like just a different story. I'm not really sure, but like it's just a general dude-looking shadowy outline. You know what I'm saying? Like the haircut reminded me of Brock, but nothing else really. We check back in on Peter and Flash, who are webbing through the city in their costumes, looking for where this tracker is taking them to. It ultimately settles on this building, and they bust in through the grates. And as Peter's mentioning, I forgot to kind of tell you, Flash, my spider sense doesn't really detect symbiotes. As they enter a room full of symbiotes, Black Cat and company all have these venom masks that Lee Price has been going around slapping on everybody. And that's where the issue concludes with Black Cat saying, "So who wants to give me a kiss?" And Peter and Flash arguing over who's going to be giving out the kiss, I guess, in a comical way. But yeah, that's the conclusion to part 2. Part 3 continues next week in Venom number 159, according to the back of this book. So yeah, I mean, if this is something that's been interesting you, that's where you're going to go for part 3 before it jumps back to ASM again, and then Venom one more time, and then wraps up with what looks to be an Omega issue. So I don't know. As far as buy, borrow, or forget goes, this individual issue is a borrow to me. I really, really like the art, but as far as story goes, like I still don't have a real motivation for Lee Price to be going around, and I don't even really know what he's doing with this. Yeah, like how is he vomiting up this symbiote? This has never been like explored or told you about, or how he understands how to mind control these people. Like I'm really kind of lost on all that, and ultimately why he's doing it. Is he trying to get the actual Venom symbiote back? Or does he just want to be an asshole and cause trouble? Like they've never really let us know why he's popped back up, besides getting out of jail and just saying, somebody's going to pay for putting me there.
You know what else? How did that fucking mask that he spit on Matt Gargan turn into a whole entire Scorpion suit?
Yeah, like I understand Matt Gargan had a previous connection to the symbiote, so maybe it did something special to him, but so did Lee Price, and he's not walking around here as a hulked out version of Venom. You know what I'm saying? So all the powers and what's happening to people, just what I do get is that he puts these Venom masks on people, and they're basically mind controlled to follow his will. And that's all I really understand. I don't understand how he's doing it, or how he understood to do it. Just getting the Maniac suit from Andrea. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, is that something that maybe the Mania thing can do? Like, I don't know. Also, like, how the fuck did why the fuck is Hammerhead in this book? Because he's fucking dead. He died in Defenders. He got shot in the head.
Yeah. See, I didn't know that.
By one of Diamondback's henchmen shot him right straight in the forehead.
Who edits Defenders?
I'm gonna have to check. I'll check that out right now, actually, because I got the issue pulled up. Nick Lowe does this? Or that?
Who does Spidey?
Nick Lowe does Spidey.
See, that's bad at it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you guys got to get that shit straight.
I know. Tom Brevoort, who's an executive editor and who knows all of Marvel's history from memory, even the shit from the 60s and 70s, like, should know better. Like, should have went over to Nick Lowe and be like, oh, hey, by the way. And not to mention, like, Defenders started before Secret Empire. And I haven't seen, like, I don't know if it takes place after Secret Empire or before, but I was under the impression that it takes place before because it started before it.
Right.
And still dealing with the same story, so I don't think we've hit that Secret Empire point yet. So if he dies in that book, then he shouldn't be an Amazing Spider-Man. So like,
yeah, maybe he'll be resurrected at some point before that book catches up with this. I don't know, but yeah, that's the shit that annoys me in comics, like, because that's what I read them for. I like the connected universe, and when it doesn't connect and make sense, it kind of annoys me. And just, but it's not a garbage comic. I'm just annoyed. We're going on issue 3 of the series, and they had an extra sized alpha issue to tell you about everything, and you still are left in the dark about what's really kind of going on here, and even how all that shit worked with Flash and how he turned into Anti-Venom. They didn't even tell you any of that. They just move on from the story. Yeah.
He fell in the vat.
It's a borrow for me. It's not a forget, but I'm not thrilled with it right now. That's where I'm at.
Spider-Man kicked over a vat that wasn't technically anti-venom, and it just turned out to be anti-venom, and
yeah,
Now he
I know.
that's
Yeah,
suit.
I'm not. It's not connecting.
And another thing I want to know is like, why is Flash so hot to like reconnect with Venom? Like, why does he want the Venom symbiote back when he's got the anti-Venom Like, he doesn't need it. He don't need it.
Yeah.
He's got
Well,
a symbiote.
Andy even. Yeah, and he says at a couple points like he's happy to be a hero again. So I don't know what
I
the
guess he just.
overall point in issue of this series really is yet. But
He,
I mean, are you with me? You think it's a forget or what?
um, did you give it a forget or a borrow?
No, I gave it an overall borrow. I mean, I'm close. I'm not there yet, but I think it might take one more issue before I go towards the totally forget fence. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm with you on the art. The art's fucking absolutely gorgeous. Like
Yeah.
some of Stegman's best stuff. The story, yeah, I have like a bunch of fucking problems with the story. A lot of the same ones you have. Um, and just a couple of dumb things like that I necessarily shouldn't exactly be upset over it because it's a comic book. But even still, like if you're gonna do it right, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like like I'm with you on the masks. Like I don't understand. Like they just the rules aren't set. We're 2 issues in and the rules aren't set, and I don't think we're gonna get it in the third issue of Venom. Maybe we are in 2 days from now, but I'm also not excited for God, what's that guy's name? The artist who did Venom before Bagley came back, Gerardo Sandoval.
Yeah.
I don't really like it that much. It's kind of, I don't know. I just don't like the style. It's not bad or anything. I just don't like the style. He always comes
Yeah.
correct. He always puts a lot of detail into it. He does the best job he can every time he does a book. I'm just not a fan of the style. But yeah, I don't.
Yeah. It's a scratchy
It's a
style for sure.
it is. It really is. It's a borrow for me. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just I don't think it came at a good time for everything that's going on right now. I think they kind of I don't know if it came organically, like because they've been trying to push so many Venom stories this year. I don't know if editorial was like, we want you to do a big Venom crossover, or if Mike Coster and Dan Slott got together magically somehow and we're like, oh, we planned this big Venom story together on their own, which I highly doubt. I think it's more of a editorial push. I just don't think it's the right time in either book's stories to be doing this. I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
I
It's a
think it's a little
weird mix.
yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna take a pause here. We're gonna be right back with what's coming up. Royals 12. And be right back. Shit, where'd my window go? There it is.